All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Design for Learning's Teaching with Gemini, Unlocking AI for the Classroom. My name's Ed, and I will be your moderator for today. If you have any questions as we go along, Mary Ellen has some awesome material to share. But if you get caught up or have a question, drop it into the chat. Happy to answer you there. And without further ado, I'll pass over Mary Ellen for a great session.
Awesome. Thanks, Ed. Hi, guys. My name is Mary Ellen West. We are excited to jump in today. There is a bit.ly here on the screen that will give you access to all of the slides. I'll be totally honest, I don't teach from slides a lot, so I will be showing you things live a whole lot, but want you to have a reference point and something to come back to. There are also a lot more slides than we will have time to fully dive into. So this is your resource to use and review at your will. So if you grab that bit.ly link really quickly, then you will be able to access these slides. Ed also has the link and can post it back in the comments for anybody who needs it a little later on. Okay, my name is Mary Ellen. Like we said, I am a technology consultant, but also staff development facilitator, degrees, all that stuff. I work on the other coast outside of Atlanta, Georgia, as the Director of Instructional Technology Solutions for Gwinnett County Public Schools. We are a huge district and we utilize Google for all of the things. So we have been excited about Google's AI tools, and I'm excited to share some of that with you today. Here's our agenda for tonight, and we only have an hour to do a whole lot. So again, you're definitely going to want to access these slides later. But we're going to jump in and just talk a little bit about AI in education, effective prompting, and the tools that Google offers as an overview. Then we'll jump into Gemini inside of Google Classroom. If you're already using Google Classroom, this is chef's kiss because there are tools right there inside of Google Classroom for you to utilize. Then we'll go direct to the Gemini app and then to Notebook LM, which honestly is my favorite. So I'm the most excited about that. Save the best for last, right? If you have any input on this agenda, if there's something that you're like, oh my gosh, that's the thing that I want to spend time talking about, please add that to the comments. Let us know what it is that you would like to cover. If there is something that you're wanting to learn, please let us know and we will shift gears and make sure that we're exactly meeting your needs. All right, so without further ado, let's jump in. AI in education. Google's free of charge generative AI tools. There are two main tools, and then both of those have ways to integrate into Google Classroom. So if you're not familiar, I just wanted to give a brief overview of both Gemini for Education and Notebook LM so that you'll know kind of what we're digging into as we get started. One, know that core services, both of these are core services for Google. So they have enterprise grade data protection. That data is not reviewed or used to train AI models or anything like that, as long as you are in your school's domain. If you are in a personal account, right? If I was just in my personal Gmail account and I'm using Gemini and Notebook LM, then the data is not protected. So you want to make sure that you're in your school account. Now, both of these applications can be turned on or off. So if you find that you don't have access to one of them as we're talking today, that would be a conversation to go back and talk with your leadership about, okay? So Gemini for Education is a chat bot, right? So it is a web application where you are just having a chat. That chatbot is pulling from a large language model. It's pulling from the internet. But there are some really special things you can do with Gemini that you can't do with other AI chatbots, okay? Know that you can also add files that you want it to reference. but know that it's, referencing those, but then it's going to pull from other things as well. Notebook LM, the reason that it is my favorite is that it is completely unique and that it is only referencing the files that you add to it. I'm going to age myself a little bit here, okay? But I think of Notebook LM like my Trapper Keeper, okay? So I grew up with a Trapper Keeper. Everything I needed was right there in that awesome Trapper Keeper. Notebook LM, you set up notebooks, you set up Trapper Keepers, and what you get out of your chats and your interactions is fully based on the resources that you have prescribed. So the things that you have students utilizing that you want to make sure that it's pulling from. So you can keep it to your data. You can keep it specific to resources from your school, or even to items that represent your beliefs, right? So that is Notebook LM. Okay. If you're not familiar with generative AI, you're definitely going to want to spend some time practicing. Hey, Michelle. Yes, Michelle said that she gets me. She loved the Trapper Keeper. Yes, I don't feel alone. Thank you so much. So when you're prompting, here's something to keep in mind. The more you put in, the more you get out, right? So here on the screen, you'll see simple, better, best. And so the most detail about what it is you're wanting and what kind of persona or expertise you're wanting the chatbot to pull from, that's how you're going to get your best result. Keep in mind that chatting with generative AI, it's also not a prompt answer done, right? You can continue the conversation. So you can say, no, you focused on this, but really I want to talk about that, right? So you can continue to refine as you're going. It's a two-way conversation. So Google talks about the parts framework when writing a great prompt. So if possible, you're going to want to give all of the parts, right, in your prompt. Give it a persona, right? You are a third grade language arts teacher in a suburban district, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. To the act, clearly ask for the task. Using generative AI is not the same as just Googling something. Okay. You want it, you tell it what you want it to do. Create something, explain something, help you understand something, revise something, etc. Okay. The R is for recipient. Who's it for? You want it to tailor the output for the audience that you're trying to create for. So that might be for third graders, right? That might be for fifth graders at a third grade reading level. That might be for staff or for parents, etc. You want to give it the theme, add the topic or the context, right? So it allows the AI, the LLM, to pull the appropriate kind of thematic information. And then lastly, structure. Tell it the model or format you want. If you're looking for a lesson plan, tell it that. Slides, tell it that. An email, tell it that. And it will output in that way. All right, so just a little more detail here. Okay, so let's jump in on Gemini and Google Classroom because I know you guys are utilizing Classroom quite a bit. I'm actually going to, at this point, there are tons of slides in this section. So again, feel free to peruse those, look through them, move forward. If I'm going too slow, go for it. I'm going to jump over to Google Classroom, though, to show you live how this works, okay? So from Google Classroom, I have clicked here in the side panel on Gemini. I'm going to zoom my screen in, okay? So I have clicked on Gemini, right? If I go back home, and then I click down over here on Gemini again, this brings me back and you can see all of these different tools that are already here for you as a teacher, right? And there are tons of them and they're being added constantly. So in the slides, there are a few examples. the best way to kind of learn about these and what they're doing is to just dive in. Now, you'll see here across the top, if you're wanting to utilize Gemini in Classroom for planning, you can filter down the bots here, the possibilities, the tools based on that. If you're wanting to build instructional material, we have different choices. Assessments, there are options. Support students, right? And administrative tasks. So you can view all of them, or you can kind of filter down into what kinds of tasks you're wanting. Now, these are pretty straightforward if you're looking at like, hey, what does it do? Because it just tells you in the description or the title there what it does. But I just want to show you a couple of quick examples that are some of my favorites. So the first one is generate a quiz. I love formative assessment, like love, not summative. Okay. But I love formative assessment, but creating those formative assessments can be really difficult. Okay. So when you utilize this tool, you just give it a grade level, the number of questions that you want, and then you describe the topic and the knowledge or skills you want students to demonstrate. I highly recommend pasting into this, like the specific standard or what students are struggling with, right? Be as specific as possible. I'm going to say character development in Romeo and Juliet. Now, this is not very specific for time's sake, but it is an example from 9th grade language arts, which is what I used to teach. Okay, so you click generate learning experiences, and that is going to bring up suggested learning experiences. You can ask it to regenerate. You can edit right here. In my district, we talk a lot about human-centered AI. In other words, there needs to be that human component, right? And this is one example of where that would be. You want to really review this and make sure it's actually what you want. Okay, you can always give feedback on whether or not it was good for you as well. So you can edit this, you can regenerate it, get as detailed as it needs to be. Once you have that set, here at the bottom, you get to choose question types if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to say I want multiple choice and short answer question types, and then generate questions. And this is going to take just a minute, but it is going to generate questions specifically based on what you put in. Okay. Now, I could always modify it from here. I can copy this, right? Copy it to the clipboard and paste it somewhere else. These are suggestions for modifications that you might want it to make. But once all of that is done, here's the best part. When I click export, I can export it to docs, just like I could copy and paste. I can export to forms, and then I could do whatever I wanted with that form. But because I'm right here in Classroom, I have the option to simply add it to a class. And from there, I'm just going to choose my class. Here we go. And the classwork type. In this case, I would probably say I want this to be a quiz assignment, right? Confirm. It's going to export it to forms and add it as an assignment for me, right? So here it is. It's already here. The form's already created. Now I can go check it, right? I can click here and go check it and make sure that it is exactly like I want it to be. Okay, and I personally would probably take off 5 questions and grade 9. Okay, so you can make modifications from here as well, but it's already attached. Give it a title and instructions. Do everything you would normally do on the right-hand side with due date, topic, etc. But you're good to go. It's created for you. So that is that generate a quiz. That is one that to me is absolutely beautiful. Another one that is my favorite, even more than generate a quiz, is build a choice board. So again, I'm just going to select grade 9, character development in Romeo and Juliet. I could also add relevant instructional materials here, anything from my drive. Again, generate learning objectives. I can review that, regenerate, I can add more to it, etc. And then I click generate. Okay, so here's the choice board it created. Now, I may not like this exactly as it is, and that's completely fine. I can always go up here and I can edit, regenerate, edit the details, etc. But here it is. Do you know how long it would take me to come up with all of these options for my students? This is beautiful. And I can export to docs, or again, I can just add to class, and it does the exact same thing that the quiz did. Oops. I wanted, well, we'll just go with oceanography. Create an assignment, confirm. So it's exporting to docs, but also, once again, right here, adding it, right? So you're adding that choice board, and what's gorgeous is it's already in the right format. I don't have to worry about how to make it look like this. I also can edit and make any changes that I want here as well. So those two are two of my favorites when we're talking about the Gemini tools built in right here to Google Classroom. Now, I'd love to hear in the comments, have any of you utilized Gemini in Classroom? And if you have, which option, which tool is your favorite? Michelle's clapping. If you haven't utilized any of these, I absolutely recommend that you give this a try. So even right now, you can open up a tab with Google Classroom and go ahead and choose one of these and give it a try. We're going to talk a little bit more about a couple of these options, a couple more options that are brand spanking new, like just came out, but they are going to rely on our understanding of Gemini and Notebook LM. So we're actually just going to come back to those here in just a little bit. Ooh, Mrs. Columbus, you have not used it before. Oh, it's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind. Oh, all right, Michelle. You use Canvas as an LMS. Okay, love it. There are some of the tools that we're going to talk about. If LTI is enabled for Google tools to go to Canvas, then a couple of the things that we're going to talk about, we're going to like wrap back around to at the end. You're going to see how those can be utilized directly into Canvas, into your LMS. All right. So we're going at this point and know that in our slides, I think all the way, yep, all the way through, goodness. I don't even remember which slide now. I'll have to look over on this other side. So slide 17, if you're looking at the slides, is where we're going to jump into teacher-led AI experiences for students. But again, there are some dependencies there for understanding Gemini and Notebook LM. So I'm actually going to jump all the way to slide 31. Like I said, in those slides, that's there for you to reference later as well and keep learning and keep learning well beyond this, this example tonight. All right. So we're going to talk next about the Direct Gemini app. So I am actually going to go to my app launcher here and switch over to Gemini. Okay. So Gemini is that chat bot. Okay. So from here, what you are going to see is down here at the bottom, this is where you're going to interact. Okay. So this is where you're going to interact. So this is where you're typing, and there's extra tools here. In the top right-hand corner, this is where you're going to want to make sure that you are in your school Google account so that all of the data and interactions are protected. Okay, so that's this here. And then on the left-hand side, You're going to see the option to create a new chat. You're going to see gems, which we'll talk about more, and also all of your recent activity. Now, one thing you might want to do is down here at the left in your settings, you might want to go to apps, and then if available to you, you might want to turn on this Google Workspace app integration. What that means is that it can pull directly from your other Google Workspace apps. So that means that in a chat, you're able to type at Google Calendar and say, when am I free to meet with my students? But of course, there's all kinds of other, you can integrate with the other applications as well. I searched your calendar. Hey, no scheduled events. It's because we actually use a different calendar system, but it will pull the information from those other applications. So whichever ones you're utilizing, if you have that setting turned on, you can use that @ symbol and just tag any of those applications and then be able to have Gemini reference things that are there. Okay. All right. So let's jump in. I'm actually going to close that. You will see here, there's some general guidance letting you know what Gemini is doing. You'll see the anatomy of Gemini, and then in the slides, you're going to see all of the really cool, amazing things. Now, I'm going to go back to showing you live. We don't have a whole lot of time, so I want to show you some of my favorites, okay? First, when you are just typing here in the general chat interface, you are interacting with Gemini as a whole, right? So that's when you want to follow that model, that parts model, to make sure that you're giving a specific persona. Okay, now let's just say you use the same kind of persona over and over and over again. I am a, third grade teacher teaching students of this level with a focus in this subject area with these standards, etc. If you have the same kind of persona that you're giving Gemini over and over again, then gems are going to be your favorite. Okay, so gems, if you go over here to the left-hand side, right here you see gems, click on Explore Gems. From here, you're going to see pre-made gems, as well as have the option to create your own gems. I'm going to age myself again, okay? When I think about gems, I think about Gem and the Holograms. Same time frame, absolutely loved. Amanda, thank you for letting me know you needed the screen increased. Absolutely loved Gem and the Holograms. And the reason that I associate gems with Gem and the Holograms, even though it's a different spelling, is that when you utilize specific gems, they are that specific persona, right? You can't miss it. They are that persona. And that's how Gem from Gem and the Holograms was as well. She was this amazing rock star, female rock star, hot pink, all the things, if you are not familiar. Okay, so there are pre-made ones up here, but I want to show you that you can click to create a new gem. You can give it a name. So I could say third grade teacher, and you give it specific instructions. Okay, so you are a third grade teacher in a suburban faith-based school district, right? Or whatever it might be. Here's where it gets even better. I pointed this out on a webinar with other Google admins the other day. People got so excited. There's a button here to use Gemini to rewrite your instructions for creating a gem, which is amazing. So I didn't put in all that much detail, but when I click that button to have Gemini help me, oh, it's unable to rewrite this gem. I wonder why. I'll just say third grade teacher and see if it will do that one. So typically it gives me all kinds, we're having trouble today, but it typically gives me all kinds of great ideas to help get me thinking about what I would want that specifically to be. Like you can even say, start every conversation by asking me, how I'm doing today, and it will do it. Okay. You also, for that gym, can add a knowledge base for the gym. So if you have your standards, for example, that's a great item to pull in as knowledge for the gym. All kinds of other options too. And then you click save. And from then on, you have the option to chat with that gym specifically. You'll see here on the left-hand side, right? This is one that I've created. So anytime I wanted to chat with that specific gym, I could just click here. Like if I switch to my study partner, now I see that here. And if I go to explore gyms, you can see all of the ones that I have created from here. I can share them with other teachers for them to utilize as well, right? I can edit them at any point in time also. So custom gyms are really powerful. And then keep in mind, again, that there are pre-made ones from Google that are really amazing. My favorite is a new one, newish now, that is Storybook. So you can click here. It gives you some ideas for, what kind of storybook you might want to create or what prompt you might want to use. Here's an example of one that I created for teachers in my district, actually. And it was just like write a story about how teachers can accept their administrator created Google Classrooms, right? And I said it's for an adult audience. You can be as specific as you want. Here's what's cool. We can listen to this.
Alara's classroom adventure. The new school year was just around the corner.
Oh, my
and
sound
Miss
isn't
Alara
working?
was buzzing with excitement. She loved teaching, but
My sound
sometimes
isn't working, guys. I'm sorry.
new technology
But
felt
you can
like
see
a
that
big,
it creates a
mysterious
storybook.
puzzle.
You can flip the pages,
She remembered her
right?
principal,
So as a
Ms.
teacher, you
Sage,
could create a
talking about something
storybook and then
called
show that to your
rostered
class.
Google Classrooms.
And
They're already
you can
made
hear
for
it.
you,
Awesome.
Ms. Sage
I'm glad
had
y'all can
said.
hear it.
But how do I find them? Elara wondered.
I'll pause it then. Thank you for saying that too, Amanda. It would have just gone on forever. But it can be read aloud, or you could read it yourself and just flip through the book and show your students. So for this example, I wrote a very simple prompt and I added our help document that was specifically for this. So as a teacher, my students are struggling with, short addition or short multiplication. I don't know math. And, write a story to help them understand, et cetera, et cetera. And you could even give it a reference file and it will generate a story. So that one is really, really cool. Okay. Now, when you're using any of those gems, but also if you just create a new chat with Gemini, there are some really amazing tools that we want to dig into just a little bit. One, you can add files. So you can upload files. And if you've given that integration access with Google Drive, you can add files from your Drive for it to reference as well. And so you can just select something that you've recently created or dig through anywhere, search for anything in your Drive. And that will be part of your prompt then, right? Even more powerful than that, or actually can really be done in association with that, are these tools. So if you click on tools, there are 4 really amazing buttons here. Guided learning allows you to ask a question or ask about something that you want to learn more about. And instead of just giving you an answer, it's actually going to give you a it's going to give you a guide to have a conversation with you to help you fully learn. So it's not for just wanting an answer back. It is for that continued learning, right? Guided learning. I've been telling my coworkers this is a great option for your professional learning goal implementation plan, right? The second one is deep research. Within a matter of minutes, Deep research will dig in, and I'm talking deep research on anything that you are interested in. There's a limit to how many times you can use deep research within a week, I believe it is. And it does take a minute. So I actually just want to jump over and show you an example. Full transparency, I'm a type 1 diabetic. So I asked Gemini with deep research to help me learn about the new possibilities and research being done to treat and possibly cure type 1 diabetes. So this is the answer that I got, right? I've got an executive summary, strategic shift. It goes on and on and on. There's part 2, all of this, and it keeps on going. Down here at the bottom, sources used in the report, and they're also cited up in the report. But this is all of those resources, right? And then there's even resources read but not used in the report. This is a huge amount of research that would take me months, if not years, to compile. And this was done for me in just a matter of moments. So deep research is another one that is incredibly, incredibly powerful. All right. So under the tools here, you'll also see create images. So this is Nano Banana, incredible for creating images. It will even create like a poster for you. So if we click on create an image, let's see. Let's create a poster, advertising for our district, bookmobile 5K that is this Saturday at the district office. And of course, the more details I give it, the better. I'm going to go ahead and click on for it to start. And it's actually going to generate a poster for me. Look at that. I can download that, and then I would be able to print that as well. So you could give it more information. Obviously, it says register at district recreation.org. So we would definitely want to update that. And you can give it more details, ask it to, make improvements, make adjustments, tell it what size you want it to be, etc. But that's pretty amazing. It would take me forever to create that. All right, the last tool here inside of Gemini is Canvas. Canvas to me is probably the most powerful. I absolutely love Canvas. So if I click on Canvas, I'm going to tell it new chat. What I love about Canvas is it is actually going to fully create something for me that I can make updates to along the way, export, etc. So if I said, actually, I'm going to show you one. Here we go. So here I said, hey, I want you to create a self-checking drag and drop game about the states of matter. So this is what the output was here. And from here in this preview mode, I can actually play with it. Oh, incorrect. Try again. There we go. Yay, that one's correct. Oh. Right? So I can actually preview it and play with that here. Of course, it can be much larger than that. Here's one that is an self-checking electricity fundamental study guide. Here I actually gave it the questions that I wanted it to include, and it has those built in here. There's also some glossary matching here on the side. Here is some cybersecurity training module that we created that's interactive for teachers and staff. And we have some of these that are student facing as well. It might take me a minute to pull those up. But so here's the best part. This is preview mode. And if students have access to Gemini, they could create these themselves, right? But also as a teacher, so here, this is the preview, right? It's been created. But if I click on code, you can see this was actually created using code, right? Now, I don't know how to code. I could not do this on my own, but this can help me learn about how to code. I can even highlight it and ask it questions about parts of the code. But I also can copy those components, and then I could throw that code onto, let's say, a Google site. Sites.new. If you're not familiar, in Google Sites, if that will load, you can add an embed code here. You can also do a full page embed. So I think that's what I'm going to do in this case, right? So this plus button, full page embed. Make this bigger for you guys. Study guide. And I'm going to say I want to add an embed code. So I just pasted that in from what Canvas gave me. I can paste this in, and now on this page, my students would actually be able to, I could assign this through Google Classroom, and my students would be able to go through this kind of interactive learning module. For the person that said you were using Canvas, there's also an embed code option in Canvas. So anything that you created using Canvas and Gemini, you could also copy that code and put it into the LMS Canvas. But depending on what you have it create, it may not generate code. It may generate basically a Google file, right? That's formatted in a specific way. And you'd be able to edit from this side panel, as well as asking Gemini to make changes, etc. So Canvas is a really, really amazing tool. All right. Let's take just a few minutes. We're actually going. We're going to take about 5 minutes for you to jump in with Gemini. So if you want to go back to Classroom and use some of the tools there, you are welcome to. Here we've got a Gemini choice board for you. So you have, you can choose which one of these, pick your poison, and jump into Gemini for about 5 minutes. And you can create a custom gem. You can use deep research, use the Canvas tool to create something interactive with your students. Use Learning Coach to help you think through enhancing an upcoming lesson or unit, or create a storybook about your class or concept that you're teaching. So we're going to take 5 minutes to test out anything with Gemini that we have talked about so far. So the Gemini tool or Gemini inside of Google Classroom, 5 minutes starting now. I'm going to set a timer on a different screen. While you are doing that, if you have any questions, wonderings, want us to show anything again because you get stuck, feel free to add those as a post, and we will jump in and talk through those. So 5 minutes. Well, now it's a little less than 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And we'll come back together to talk Notebook LM. For Gemini, if you're signed into your district account and you're in Drive or you're in Classroom, you can use the app launcher to jump over to Gemini. It probably won't be here at the top for you. You might have to scroll down and find it. Or you can type in gemini.google.com the full link, gemini.google.com, and you'll just want to make sure in the top right-hand corner that you are signed into your school account. So I'm putting that direct link here as well, gemini.google.com. Uh-oh. It failed to post for me in the actual comments, but it is gemini.google.com. Thanks, Ed. Got about 2 minutes left for that quick exploration. No pressure. Don't feel like you need to finish anything. You can always come back to your prompt later. About 30 seconds. About 10 more seconds. As we're wrapping up, we would love for you to throw in the comments what you tried and the wonderings or most exciting thing that you discovered. Let us know what you tried and anything exciting or wonderings that you have as you were giving Gemini a try. Our 5 minutes is up, so we'll keep going, but keep posting, put your comments. We definitely want to hear what you discovered and what you were trying in that time. All right. We're going to jump into Notebook LM. Remember, Notebook LM is where you create those custom trapper keepers, right, as your very own language model. So you know that it is only referencing your curated materials. So it is really amazing. This starts at notebooklm.google.com, or from the app launcher, you can also switch over to that account. And you're seeing an example here of what it looks like. There are 3 main parts to the screen with Notebook LM. So here on the left, this is where your actual materials are added. So you have to add the sources yourself, right? You upload your own sources or you pull them from Drive, from websites. So you're telling the notebook, this is what's in my Trapper Keeper. You can't reference anything else, right? You can add up to 50 sources. This middle section is where you're interacting. So you can ask questions and it's going to pull from all of these sources in order to answer your questions or generate what you ask for. And then in the right-hand side, this is the studio. And this is where some really amazing magic happens, where you can create an audio overview, for example, and all kinds of other amazing things based on your notebook. So I want to show you live because it is just that amazing. So I'm going to go to notebooklm.google.com. Now, the first time you go here, it's going to ask you to sign in, and it's going to tell you if you're in a school account that your data is safe and protected, right? So know that that's your experience when you first come in. After that, from this main page, you see all of the notebooks that you have accessed, okay? So, for example, if you see one with a world, that means that it is a public notebook, likely that Google put out, okay? And then if you see no icon there, right, then you own that one. And if you see the little people, then that means it's shared with you. Now, up here on the left, you can filter down to just my notebooks or just one shared with me, okay? I typically just go from all. And then you can also format this or organize this the way that you want to. So there's grid view and then there's list view, right? So almost exactly like Google Drive looks, right? With that grid view or list view. And then you can decide how you want it to be sorted as well, by title or by what you most recently used. And of course, to create one, you can click either of the buttons to create a new one. When you do that, you tell it what sources you want. Now, I want to point out a couple of things that are really important. When you select from Google Drive, this is going to allow you to pull in slides, docs. It's really amazing. PDFs in Drive can be added as well. It's not just anything in your Drive, though. So know, for example, that spreadsheets are not yet able to be added to a Notebook LM. The workaround for that would be to save a spreadsheet as a PDF, okay? Also adding resources, you can upload sources, but notice this little warning here in the middle. It's not really a warning, but it's just letting you know that, again, it's specific file types. So you can't add, for example, a PowerPoint. You could save that as a PDF, or you could upload it into Drive and convert it to slides. Okay, but you can also upload. Also, when you add a link, if you are adding a website, know that it's not the full website, it's actually the web page. So when you give a URL, that is actually one page of the website, right? It might be the home page, it might be another page, but it is the actual page, not the entire site in its entirety with everything. Also know that the website has to be public in order for it to be able to be referenced by Notebook LM. So anything that is part of your intranet for your district as a website would not be able to be added. It does have to be public. Okay, but you can see you can add up to 50. I actually want to show you a couple of examples to put this into context. So one that people in my district are loving is the GCPS Student Code of Conduct. So all of the sources here are from our public-facing website with our code of conduct, all of our rules, etc. And so an administrator dealing with discipline issues, for example, might ask, hey, I caught a student doing XYZ. what should the consequences be, right? So I caught a student vaping in the bathroom, because we've heard of that before. What rules did she break, and what might the consequences be? What I love about this is it's not pulling from the internet with like every school district's ideas about, how to, give consequences for something. It is actually truly based on just my resources here. You'll also see that it points out, if you click on any of these, it's actually telling you which of the resources it is pulling that information from. So it's very clear that this is based in our specific district resources, only the things in my Trapper Keeper right here, and not just pulling from anything, right? So if you want to keep anything that you want to keep like based in your schools, in your foundation, beliefs, etc., Notebook LM is great for that. Another example, so these are all resources for 5th grade science unit 1, right? So these are the resources specific to these learning standards, right? And so again, a teacher could utilize this and based on these resources can ask any questions that they want. But also here on the right-hand side where you see studio, there are all of these different options. So a mind map, for example, when you click on that, it is going to generate a mind map, right? So this unit of study is about electricity. And so it's pulling all of those resources together to create a mind map where we can dig down into exactly what is needed. I could expand all of these and even download this as an image and provide it to my students. Also, if I go back to Studio, there are, if you click on reports, there are some kind of pre-made formats, but also if you see here where it's loading suggestions, these suggestions for reports are completely based on what's in your source list. So it's reading all of these sources and determining based on that source list, what is it that might be good, right? To create out of these resources. So these update based on what's in your Trapper Keeper or in your notebook. You can create interactive flashcards. You can create an interactive quiz. And probably the things that get the most attention are creating an audio overview or a video overview. And if you click on the pencil, you can even customize these like, hey, I want it to be a deep dive, which is like a podcast. I want a brief bite-sized overview, a critique or a debate. You can tell it what to focus on and how long you want it to be. Once that is generated, what you will see is that you can just play this. You can also download the audio. So you could download it and then throw that into Google Classroom or Canvas, whatever your LMS is. But there's also this thing called interactive mode. And part of what I love about interactive mode is that we could demonstrate for our students. One, we can demonstrate for our students by modeling for them anything with all of these AI tools, right? But I really love with interactive mode that we can do it together as a class, but nobody has to like wait on me as the teacher to type something. Here's what I mean. So I'm going to enter interactive mode and I am going to click play. Now, if the same thing holds true, you're going to be able to hear this, but I'm not. That's okay. I can still demo for you. So I'm going to go ahead and click play. And it should
Welcome back to
start.
the deep dive. We're here again to plunge into some really fascinating subjects, trying to unearth those essential insights. And today, we're tackling something huge, something so fundamental, so woven into,
Now watch
well,
this.
everything we do that oh, hey, our listener wants to join in. What's up?
Hey, I really don't understand electrons. Can you explain that to me?
Oh, that is a fantastic question.
Thank you for chiming in. Understanding electrons is really step 0.
Okay, let's unpack this core concept first.
Everything you can think of is made up of tiny particles called atoms.
And atoms have even smaller pieces, right? Protons.
So how powerful is that? That as a class, and different students could even speak, they could be raising their hands, they can ask the questions. And not only is this great for multimodal learners, but also for demonstrating that interaction with AI, right? That when we're discussing something with generative AI, we want to be respectful and kind and all of those things. So it's a great way to interact with your students and scaffold them to the great opportunities here. So there's also a video overview, so much that you can dig into. That video overview is amazing as well. I'm seeing that we're short on time, so I do want to jump forward just a little bit. I want you to see one that at the end of the slide deck, there's some quick resources for Google AI to help you learn even more. I also want to show you just briefly, because this is brand new. And remember, there's a whole section in the slide deck for it under that Google Classroom section. But if you're using Google Classroom or LTI with Canvas, I want you to see that integration of custom gems and Notebook LM are now here. So if I click on create, I actually can create a Notebook LM or a custom gem for my students to interact with based on resources in my classroom. You'll also see these options if you click on assignment down here under attach. So that's something really amazing. Again, there are slides for you. They are in that section on Google Classroom close to the beginning, right? And so there are slides that dig in so that you can see this even more. Now, I'm going to be transparent. The reason I saved this for the end, one, you need to understand the other tools first, but also please be aware that in order for this to work, the tools themselves, the app for Notebook LM and the app for Gemini, have to be turned on for the students. So in some school districts, that's not the case. So I didn't want to spend all of our time on it. Know that you're going to see it in Google Classroom if you're utilizing Google Classroom or the LTI feature. But even though you could add something, students won't be able to use them, access them, unless those applications are also turned on for your students. I believe in a scaffolded approach. I like the idea of us modeling and showing, demonstrating for students, before we have students utilize the tools directly. All right. Let's wrap up. Any questions that anyone has, please feel free to throw those into the chat. Gonna stop the screen share. I'm just looking quickly at what a couple of you used Gemini for. Amazing. A grammar worksheet. Oh, a farewell message. That's wonderful. And a thank you image. I love that. Michelle, we recently had someone retire and we created a storybook. I didn't. Our director of media created a storybook and it was absolutely amazing. All about the person who was retiring.
Marianne, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for all that wonderful information. I did want to remind everyone that Design for Learning does have the AI Literacy Academy. You can see the link down there in the bottom right-hand corner. So if you're looking for more of this, more strategies that you can use, different tools that you may have to bring in, Canva, Brisk, other tools, feel free to check it out. I'll drop the link also into the chat one time so you can grab it there. But thanks again one more time for Mary Ellen for that fantastic session. And thank you all for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Let's share that slide now here for y'all. So if you wanted to join this. And then again, the design, the evaluation of attendance is there as well. Love any feedback y'all have. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much, guys. And thank you, Ed. You've been amazing.
I appreciate it. All right, y'all, we're going to go ahead and end that stream here. We look forward to seeing y'all next time. Have a great night.